Hey Reddit, I honestly never thought I'd be one of those people writing out their life imploding on this subreddit, but here I am. Life comes at you fast, I guess. To give a little context, my wife, let's call her Ashley, and I have been together for 9 years, married for 6. We met in the most cliche way possible at a mutual friend's birthday party, where she spilled wine on my shirt and laughed like she didn't just ruin a perfectly good button down. She was fiery, sarcastic, confident. Honestly, I thought she was way out of my league. Fast forward to this year, and we were living what I thought was a relatively stable life. 2 decent jobs. I'm in IT. She works in marketing. No kids, decent house in the suburbs, dog named Max who thinks he's a cat. I won't say everything was perfect. We'd had our ups and downs like any couple, but I genuinely believed we were solid. But things started to shift about 4 months ago. It was little things at first. She'd started working later than usual, claiming it was campaign season and deadlines were piling up. She stopped wanting to go out on weekends with me, saying she was too tired or just wanted a chill night. Our sex life, which was never amazing but always consistent, dried up overnight. When I brought it up, she'd brush it off. I'm just stressed, babe, or you're overthinking it. And then there were the phone habits. God, the phone. She started taking it everywhere, into the bathroom, under her pillow at night, even when she walked Max. I used to joke that she was married to her phone. She didn't laugh. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I chalked it up to work stress, maybe a rough patch. I mean, we've had rough patches before, nothing earth-shattering, just the usual marriage stuff. But my gut was buzzing like a fire alarm I kept trying to ignore. I wish I hadn't. It happened on a Thursday night. Nothing special. I was watching some mindless Netflix show while Ashley was working late again. Around 10 p.m., I heard her car pull into the driveway. She came in wearing this tight black dress I hadn't seen before, makeup still fresh, smelling like that expensive perfume she only wears for real occasions. I asked, "Where were you working?" "The club." She laughed a little too hard and said, "Ugh, the client wanted to meet in person, some rooftop bar downtown. Super annoying." But here's the thing. Ashley hates rooftop bars. She says they're pretentious and windy. Always has. And now suddenly she's sipping cocktails with clients at one? My radar pinged. I didn't say anything that night, but something about the way she avoided eye contact made my skin crawl. She went straight to the shower, and I swear to God, she hummed in there. Hummed like she was in a good mood. Not tired, not stressed, not frustrated, just glowing. I couldn't sleep. The next day, I checked our shared credit card statement, something I rarely do unless I'm paying bills. There was a $112 charge from a fancy steakhouse 2 nights earlier. She hadn't mentioned that dinner. I casually asked about it later, and she said, "Oh, yeah, the agency covered that. Must have gone on my card by mistake. I'll expense it." Another lie. I didn't say anything, I just nodded. But the gears in my head started turning. That weekend, she left her laptop open while she went out for groceries. Normally, I'm not the snooping type. I believe in privacy and all that, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't open her Gmail. And what I found? Nothing. Literally nothing. The trash folder had been emptied. No recent emails in her inbox, no drafts, no browser history. It was spotless. Too spotless. That's when I knew something was definitely going on. It felt like standing on a frozen lake and hearing the first crack under your feet. I couldn't let it go. Once that seed of doubt is planted, once it really takes root, eats at you. It's like having termites in your brain. You start noticing every creak in the house, every odd look, every missed call, and every part of me just knew something was rotting. So I started keeping quiet and watching. I didn't accuse her. I didn't even hint that I was suspicious. I just became hyper aware. She started texting more, smiling at her phone, typing, and quickly swiping away if I walked into the room. She claimed she was finally bonding with the new junior marketer at her office, some young guy named Ryan. I asked to meet him once at one of her work mixers. She made a face like I'd suggested she introduce me to the devil himself. Oh, Ryan doesn't really do social events. He's super shy. Right. A few nights later, while she was staying late again, I used Max as an excuse to drive by her office around 9:30 p.m. Lights off, parking lot empty. I parked across the street and waited. At 10:05 p.m., she texted me, "Still working. Don't wait up. Love you." I nearly laughed out loud. The next day, I took a half day off work and drove down to the agency myself just to see. I asked the front desk if Ashley was in. The receptionist looked confused and said, "Oh, she's out this week. She's on vacation with her sister." Right? Her sister lives 3 states away. She hadn't mentioned anything about a vacation. I nodded, thanked the receptionist, walked calmly back to my car, and sat in the driver's seat for 20 solid minutes staring at the dashboard like it had answers. She wasn't even trying to make the lies good anymore. That night, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed to catch her in a lie she couldn't talk her way out of. Because Ashley, she's good. She knows how to turn any accusation into an overreaction, any suspicion into my insecurity. But this time, I wasn't going to give her the upper hand. It all came to a head 2 weeks later. I had quietly installed a small GPS tracker under the passenger seat of her car. Yeah, I know how that sounds. I hate that I did it. But when someone you love turns into a stranger in front of you, your moral compass starts spinning out. That Friday, she said she was going to her sister's place for the weekend. Just some girl time, she said with that fake, stretched smile she puts on when she's already lying through her teeth. She packed a bag, kissed me like we were still us, and drove off around 7 p.m. I waited an hour. Then I checked the GPS. She wasn't heading west toward her sister's city. She was downtown, parked at a hotel I knew wasn't exactly known for its 5-star brunch, more like the kind of place you rent by the hour. My heart was in my throat. My hands were ice. I grabbed Max, jumped in the car, and drove. I didn't even know what I was going to do, catch her in the act, storm in like some B-movie husband with righteous rage. I parked down the street from the hotel and waited. I couldn't bring myself to go inside. I just stared at her car, thinking maybe she was meeting a friend. Maybe it was innocent. At 10:42 p.m., she came out of the front entrance, laughing and holding hands with some dude I'd never seen before. Tall, gym bro type, backwards hat, tight shirt. Not Ryan, unless Ryan had undergone a dramatic transformation. They kissed, full on, no hesitation, like they'd done it 1,000 times. I froze. I didn't take pictures. I didn't jump out and confront her. I just sat there while my whole world cracked in half. When she finally drove off, with him in her passenger seat no less, I followed them home. Our home. She didn't even blink twice walking in with him. No guilt, no hesitation, like she owned the place. Like I was the outsider. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in my car with Max, parked 3 blocks away, trying to breathe. The next morning, I walked into our house like a ghost. I'd parked around the corner again and waited until 7:30 a.m. I figured Jimbro would be gone by then, and he was. I watched him leave, all smug and relaxed, as if he'd just hit the jackpot. I waited another hour, trying to calm the storm inside me. I was shaking, barely slept, barely thought. Just rage and heartbreak taking turns beating the crap out of me. When I finally walked in, she was in the kitchen making coffee, wearing my hoodie, hair up, like it was just another Saturday morning. "Oh, hey, babe," she said without even looking up. "You're up early." I stared at her for a second. I don't know what I expected. Maybe a flicker of guilt, something to betray that she knew she'd been caught. But no. She was calm, effortless, like she hadn't brought another man into our bed less than 12 hours ago. So I said it flat cold. "How was the hotel?" That got her attention. She froze, coffee mug halfway to her lips. Then she smiled, and tried to play dumb. What hotel? I didn't answer. I just tossed her keys on the table and said, "GPS doesn't lie, Ashley. I saw you. I saw him. Don't insult me." And just like that, her whole demeanor flipped. No tears, no shame, just straight to damage control. "You followed me? That's seriously creepy, you know?" I almost laughed. "You cheated on me and I'm the creepy one?" She rolled her eyes like I was the one being dramatic. Then came the excuses. Oh God, the excuses. "He's just a friend. We were drinking. One thing led to another. It didn't mean anything." Then, 5 minutes later, "It only happened once. I swear." 2 minutes after that, "We've been unhappy for months, and you haven't exactly been affectionate lately." It was like watching someone throw darts blindfolded, hoping one would hit the right excuse. I asked her if she was seeing him regularly. She didn't answer, just crossed her arms and stared at me like I was interrogating her unfairly. That's when I knew. She didn't feel bad. Not even a little. She wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. I wish I could say I handled it with dignity, that I walked out like a man with a plan, head held high. But the truth? I was wrecked. After she hit me with the "we haven't been happy" speech, I just sat down at the kitchen table, staring at the floor, trying to process how everything I thought was stable had turned to ash in a matter of days. She paced, she checked her phone, she even had the nerve to ask, "So, what now? What now?" Like, this was just a bump in the road. I told her to leave. Simple as that. Pack a bag, go to your sister's or to your boy toys place. I don't care. Just get out. She looked shocked, like genuinely offended. "You're kicking me out? This is my house too." I laughed. "You should have thought of that before you turned it into a damn hotel room." She left. Not in tears, not begging, just pissed. Grabbed a duffel, slammed the door, and texted me 2 hours later. "We need to talk like adults. This isn't healthy." Healthy. That word sent me into a spiral. I spent that whole night replaying everything in my head. Every weekend she worked late, every dinner she seemed distracted, every sudden laugh at a text message she wouldn't let me see. It all lined up now. All the pieces snapped together into this hideous picture I never wanted to see. The worst part? Max kept sniffing around the bedroom door that night looking for her, whining, tail wagging, and all I could think was, even the damn dog misses her, and I'm just here falling apart. That was the first time I cried, like full on chest heaving, red eyed crying, not even just from betrayal, but from loss, from the realization that the person I built a future with had quietly started building hers somewhere else. The next few days were a blur of fake apologies, passive aggressive texts, and just straight up gaslighting. She came back 2 days later, not to move back in, but to talk. She looked like she was going to a damn brunch, all dolled up, like she wanted to remind me what I was losing. The second she sat down on the couch, it started. "I made a mistake, okay? But it wasn't serious. He meant nothing. It's not like I love him." She kept using words like mistake and moment of weakness, like she'd accidentally left the oven on, not brought another man into our home. I asked her how long it had been going on. She said, "A few weeks." I told her I already knew she'd been lying for months. GPS data, office lies, her sister trip. I laid it all out like cards on a table. She blinked, then shifted tactics. "Fine, it's been a few months, but only a few times. I didn't even sleep with him every time. Every time." So there it was, the truth, piece by piece, like pulling teeth from someone who thought she was still playing poker. When I asked if there were others before him, she gave me this long pause, then shrugged and said, "Maybe once. Before. But that was forever ago and it didn't mean anything either." I sat there stunned. That's when it hit me. She didn't just cheat on me. She rewrote our entire relationship behind my back. And she wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She was annoyed, defensive, like I was the unreasonable one for being upset about repeated infidelity. I told her again to get out. This time she didn't fight. She just grabbed her purse and said, "I hope you figure your stuff out." My stuff. That was the night I opened a new email account and contacted a divorce lawyer. You know what no one tells you about betrayal? It's not just the moment you find out, it's the days after, when everything normal starts to feel haunted. I'd walk into the kitchen and see her favorite mug and want to throw it across the room. Open the closet and see her coat still hanging there like she might walk in any second. Max would keep going to the front door when he heard footsteps outside, tail wagging, expecting her. The silence was deafening. But worse than the silence, the memories. Every corner of that house had a story. Every stupid thing, from the scratch on the coffee table we made together while building it drunk on wine, to the photo booth strip tucked in a drawer from our second anniversary. She'd touched every part of my life, and now all of it felt rotten, contaminated. People started to notice something was wrong. My mom called. I lied and said we were working through some stuff. A couple of friends asked if everything was okay. I brushed it off. I wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. Saying it made it more real. But the worst part was sleeping, or trying to. Every night I laid there staring at the ceiling, imagining her with him, his hands on her laughing with him the way she used to laugh with me. That mental movie looped until sunrise. One night, I finally broke and checked her Instagram. She'd posted a pic from weeks ago I hadn't seen, a photo of her at a work dinner, smiling across the table at him. He was cropped mostly out, but his arm was there. The watch, the shirt. I compared it to the night I remembered. She told me she was in a client meeting that ran late. I stayed up and microwaved her dinner. She came home smelling like some cologne I didn't recognize. Yeah, that night, the lies weren't just recent, they'd been growing like mold under the surface for a long time. I felt like the dumbest man alive. A few days after I talked to the divorce lawyer, I started digging back through old messages, emails, photos, not because I wanted to torture myself, though, yeah, it felt like that, but because something wasn't sitting right. The timeline she gave me didn't add up. A few months, she said. Only a few times. But then I found this photo from last summer. We were at her company's summer party. She was smiling, holding a margarita, and in the background, just barely out of focus, was him. Same douchebag grin, same chain around his neck. I zoomed in. His hand was on her lower back. July. And she'd sworn it started in November. That opened the floodgates. I remembered how weird she was that weekend. Cold, distracted. She said she had cramps and needed space. I gave it to her, like an idiot. Meanwhile, she was probably texting him under the dinner table. The more I looked, the more the cracks showed. Random Uber charges on her statements from areas she didn't work in. Little lies. I'm too tired, working late again, going out with the girls. I looked up some of the bars she mentioned. Most didn't even exist anymore. It felt like she'd been building an entire second life while I was busy planning vacations, checking in on her mom, walking our dog. I even started wondering if I ever really knew her. Was it all fake? The morning cuddles, the way she used to hum when she cooked? Was she always this good at lying, or did she just get better over time? That realization broke something in me. It wasn't just betrayal, it was the erasure of our history. I felt like a ghost in my own story. And the worst part, she still hadn't said sorry. Not really. Not once did she say, I hurt you and I regret it. It was always, let's move on, or we can get past this, or people make mistakes. She wanted to skip the consequences and get to the part where I forgive her, like she deserved a clean slate just for showing up. No, not this time. I didn't think it would happen, but the fallout started to spread beyond just us. At first, I kept it quiet. Only a couple of my close friends knew what was going on. I wasn't trying to air our dirty laundry. I still had that instinct to protect her somehow. But then she started talking, spinning her version. Apparently, I was cold. I didn't support her emotionally. I was distant and made her feel unloved. Classic cheater script. And what do you know? Some of our mutual friends bought it. I started getting weirdly neutral texts. Hey man, relationships are hard. Maybe therapy? No one's perfect. Don't give up too fast. She's really hurting too. You know? Hurting? She cheated. She lied. She disrespected me for almost a year while pretending to be my partner. But I realized something then. People don't like messy stories. They like balance. Two sides to every story, right? So if I was hurting, they had to believe she was too, or else they'd have to face that maybe she's just not a good person. One friend in particular, Mark, really pissed me off. He and I have been close since college. He knew everything, and he still said, maybe you pushed her away without realizing it. That's when I snapped. I told him, if your wife cheated on you for a year, lied to your face, and you still asked what you did wrong, I'd slap you. Get your head out of your ass. We haven't spoken since, but not all friends disappointed me. My buddy Jordan, he came over with two six-packs and said, all right, talk or don't talk, but I'm here. We ended up watching crappy action movies and yelling at the screen. No judgment, just presence. That meant everything. Even my sister, who never liked my wife and I always thought was just being petty, called me and said, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. I knew something was off, but I didn't want to interfere. It sucks, but betrayal doesn't just wreck your relationship. It reveals the foundations around you. Who's real, who's fair weather, and who just wants things to look nice from the outside. Just when I thought things couldn't get more twisted, I got a message. From him. Yeah, the guy she cheated with, the side piece, the walking cliche in designer sneakers. He DM'd me on Instagram, of all places, with this long, guilt-soaked paragraph. It started with, hey man, I just wanted to reach out because I didn't know she was married when this all started. I didn't even respond right away. I had to sit down and laugh first. Like, are you serious? You didn't know she was married? We have photos of our wedding on her page. Her bio literally said, wife to my best friend. It's not like she was hiding it, she just didn't care. and I guess neither did he. But I kept reading. He went on. She told me you guys were separated, that it was over, but you were still living together for financial reasons. She said you were toxic and controlling. That part hit me hard. I always feared that behind my back, she was painting me out to be some villain so she could sleep better at night. But seeing it in writing from this guy, a total stranger who got duped just like I did, confirmed it. I finally replied, keeping it simple. Thanks for the honesty. She lied to both of us. Don't contact me again. He didn't. And yeah, maybe I could have said more. Ranted. Let it out. Let it out. But honestly, what would have been the point? He's not my enemy. She is. She turned both of us into pawns in her little drama, used me for stability, him for attention, lied to each of us to get what she wanted. And now that it's all crumbling, she's still acting like she's the victim. I sat with that message open on my screen for a while after, just staring at it. Not because of him, but because it showed me exactly how far her lies had gone. She didn't just betray our marriage, she rewrote it behind my back to justify her actions. That was the night I deleted every photo of her from my phone, blocked her on socials, and finally, I felt the first breath of air after being underwater too long. People always talk about closure like it's this one big moment, like a movie scene where everything makes sense and you walk away emotionally healed, cue the credits. That's bullshit. Closure came to me in pieces. Some big, some small, all of them painful in their own way. The first piece came the day I filed the official divorce paperwork. I walked out of that office feeling numb, but also weirdly lighter, like I'd finally stopped waiting for something that was never coming, an apology, a fix, a rewind button. The second piece came when I donated a bunch of our shared stuff. Decor she picked out, books she never read but displayed to look smart, candles with scents that made me gag, but I pretended to like. I purged every trace of her taste from the apartment. Even got a new coffee table. Not scratched, just mine. Another piece came when Max stopped looking at the door. He used to jump up every time the key turned, expecting her. But now, when I came home, he greeted me like I was his whole world. Dogs get it. They don't hold on to ghosts. They live in the now. I started trying to do the same. There were moments I almost broke, though. The night I found her wedding vows while cleaning, I didn't even know she'd kept them. I read the whole damn thing through blurry eyes. I promised to always choose you. Yeah, that aged like milk. But instead of getting angry, I just folded them up and burned them on the balcony. No big dramatic speech, just fire. Ash. Gone. I stopped checking her socials, stopped bringing her up in every conversation, started dreaming about other things, new plans, a trip, a new job opportunity. I started remembering what it felt like to be me before we. And maybe the biggest piece of closure? Realizing I never needed her in the first place. I just wanted her, and that's not the same thing. I confused comfort with compatibility, loyalty with love. She didn't just cheat on me, she freed me. And yeah, it still hurts. But the hurt is mine now. Clean, honest, no more lies. Hindsight's a cruel teacher. It doesn't whisper, it screams. Looking back, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Or maybe I did, but I loved her too much to face what they meant. She used to get weirdly defensive about her phone, would turn the screen away, say it was just work stuff, or sometimes accuse me of not trusting her. I brushed it off, told myself everyone deserves privacy. But there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. She also stopped laughing at my jokes, like actually, completely. For years, she said my dry sense of humor was what made her fall for me. But near the end, dead eyes, forced smirks. She'd scroll while I was talking, nodding along like I was background noise. Then there were the nights she came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, blaming it on huggy coworkers. One time she literally said, "You're being paranoid." So I believed her because the alternative was worse. I also started noticing how she rewrote arguments. She'd twist things I never said, accuse me of being distant when all I did was give her space she claimed to need. If I tried to talk seriously, she'd roll her eyes and say I was being dramatic. Classic gaslighting. I see that now. I wish I'd listened to my gut. That voice that told me something was wrong while my brain kept making excuses. I wish I hadn't put so much faith in someone who saw that as a weakness to exploit. But more than anything, I wish I'd chosen myself sooner. I kept showing up for someone who was already emotionally gone. I bent, I folded, I compromised past the point of self respect. That's not love, that's self erasure. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't scream or rage. I'd just whisper to myself, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. Trust what you feel. Because if you have to convince someone to treat you like you matter, they never really did. I didn't expect to ever speak to her again. After filing the papers, blocking her on everything, and purging her from my life, I figured that chapter was slammed shut. But then she reached out. A letter. Handwritten. No return address. She must have left it in the mailbox while I was at work. It started with, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need to explain. I almost threw it away right there. But curiosity won, and pain. And maybe deep down, the masochistic part of me that still wanted to know why. She rambled for a bit, said she'd been lost, that I deserved better, and she didn't know how to handle being loved the way I loved her. She blamed childhood trauma, said she self-sabotages when she feels safe, that cheating wasn't about me, but about her own brokenness. I won't lie, some of it almost sounded sincere. But here's the thing, there was no apology. Not really. She never wrote, I'm sorry I hurt you, only I'm sorry this happened. That's not ownership. That's deflection. Still, I called her, not to argue, not to beg. I just wanted to close the door face to face, for me. She answered like nothing had happened. Light, casual, asked how Max was doing. I kept my tone flat. I said, I got your letter. Thanks for the explanation, but you never apologized. She hesitated, then sighed and said, I didn't think it would matter. And just like that, I knew I'd made the right decision walking away. I told her I hoped she got the help she clearly needed and that I was done holding space in my life for someone who only showed up when it served them. She tried to guilt me, said I was being cold now. I didn't bite. That call lasted 8 minutes, but it felt like exhaling years of confusion. And when I hung up, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just sat in the quiet and felt done. If you made it this far, thank you. I wrote all this partly to get it out of my system, but also for anyone who might be where I was just a few months ago, confused, hurting, stuck in a fog of self-doubt, trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. Here's what I've learned. 1. Love is not supposed to feel like begging. If you constantly have to chase reassurance, affection, honesty, you're not in love, you're in survival mode, and that's not sustainable. 2. Trust your gut, seriously. That tight feeling in your chest, the subtle red flags, that strange distance you feel but can't explain, that's your inner voice trying to save you. Listen. 3. Cheating is not a mistake, it's a choice. A mistake is forgetting your anniversary. Cheating requires lies, planning, and the deliberate decision to betray someone who loves you. Don't let anyone spin it any other way. French 4. Closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. She never gave me the apology I wanted, but I gave myself permission to move on, to rebuild, to let go. That's what closure really is, acceptance without apology. 5. You will survive this. It feels like the end. I know, but I promise it's not. You're going to rediscover parts of yourself you forgot existed. You're going to laugh again, trust again, maybe even love again. But this time, smarter, wiser, stronger. Final advice, don't waste years waiting for someone to be who they were at the beginning. People show you who they are. Believe them. Walk away with your dignity, even if it hurts, especially when it hurts. And remember, you didn't get broken. You got free. Thanks for reading. If you're going through something similar, my inbox is open. No judgment, just someone who's been there on the other side now and knows that while betrayal sucks, a guy who finally chose himself.